At the risk of stating the obvious, you can't buy skill. Why do I want to talk about this for a whole episode? Well, because in game design, we often give people the opportunity to buy skill, or at least the illusion of buying skill. We can buy things for the character to be more skilled, and it feels like the player is getting more skilled, but really we're not, right? And then in game design, there's an urge. Now, this doesn't hit as hard in game design as it does in other things, but people try anyway. An urge to buy tools and go, this will make me more skilled, this will make me better. Well, now you have to learn a new skill, which is how to use that new tool. But you can't actually buy skill. And I want to talk about how this affects game design and my own design philosophy and some feelings around microtransactions, because I think sometimes it's baiting people into thinking they can buy their way into being better at a game, which is not really how it works. And then how it affects my own game development and creating things and all of that good stuff, and why we have this illusion. I don't know the actual reason why, but I want to ponder the topic for a minute. Why do we always have this feeling that we can buy skill, right? We always, in music, there's a thing called gear acquisition syndrome, which is the guy who just keeps buying new guitars, buys another guitar and another guitar and another guitar. And maybe sometimes it's because they're really cool, but I think on some level it's the urge to find the magic guitar, the perfect guitar, the magic pill that makes you sound exactly how you want to sound, right? There's some tricky little thing going on there, and I think it ties into game design, game development, learning all these skills in weird little subtle ways that's not quite as blatantly obvious as it sometimes is in other fields. This is Game, Develop, Repeat, and I am your host, Chris. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Let's get to it. It's impossible for me to talk about buying skill in video games without talking about microtransactions. But rather than get into all the nitty-gritty details of this, which I probably will in a bit, rather than start there, let's start with my core thesis of purchasing skill in games. Here's the idea. You can buy power. You can buy accelerated character progression. You can buy things for your character. You can buy the illusion of skill, but you cannot buy skill. And you shouldn't. I mean, you cannot buy skill for the player. You cannot buy actual skill. You can buy things that magnify your skill, that multiply it and make you much more powerful than you should be for the amount of skill that you have. But if somebody else has the exact same tools that you have and a little bit more skill, you're done. They're going to beat you, right? But that's the big picture. The other part of this big picture is I personally do not think you should try to buy skill. I think that buying skill, I'm grateful that we can't do it. I'm grateful that in my mind it's not possible. Because sure, we can fool ourselves into thinking that we did it by buying competitive advantages and whatnot, but you can't actually buy skill, thankfully, which means you can't shortcut the process. You can't shortcut the journey of developing a skill. And the joy of playing a game, not all games, but I do think that one of the fundamental joys of playing video games is developing skills. This is something that is deeply embedded in me, and I'm very interested. At some point I got to talk with more people about this. I have a whole idea for digging into this kind of stuff and learning other people's perceptions of this sort of thing and getting more perspectives on this. But in my opinion, the fundamental reason why most games are fun is because you are developing some kind of skill, and learning is inherently fun. Skill development is inherently fun, and I believe that we enjoy playing games because we are learning, because we are learning something that is engaging and we're learning it at a pace that is really enjoyable and smooth. And I think that is the fundamental principle of an enjoyable game design. Because the moment that you get fully stuck on a game is so frustrating. Now, there's obviously some give in this, and I'm presenting a theory. I'm not presenting this as 100% fact, but it's the thing that I want to explore. It's the thing I'm curious about. It's the thing that I want to understand. How true or false is that? And it's not like you're learning one big, broad skill. You're learning different little small applications for it and experimenting in those worlds. And, there's a lot of stuff to explore here, a lot that I want to figure out about this claim. But I do think that it's worth looking into and being a little bit curious about. Now, how do we try to sell skill in games? Well, we try to sell power, of course. We sell cosmetics. That's not really selling skill, but we do try to sell power, especially in more single-player-ish experiences or less competitive multiplayer games, if you kind of track my meaning. Like very PvE multiplayer games, I still think you're kind of getting an unfair competitive advantage, even in games that aren't necessarily competitive, but that's a whole different rabbit hole. We can go too far down that very easily. What I'm trying to get to here is we sell advantages, and it makes people feel more skillful, but they're not actually more skilled, right? They just get different results. The results of your actions do not indicate with 100% accuracy what your skill level is. Let me try that one more time, because I feel like this is very, very important claim that I do stand by. The results of your actions do not, with 100% accuracy, indicate your skill level. Just because somebody has a wildly successful song does not mean that they are a wildly skilled musician. Often they are. Usually they probably are. But those things are not one-to-one. That is not completely equal. Just because you are absolutely crushing it at League of Legends does not mean that you are an incredible League of Legends player. You might be having a good streak. You might be having good teammates. You might be good at one specific character, one specific role. There's all these different factors involved in it. But the point that I'm making is results do not equal skill. You might have some weird advantage. Maybe everybody that you're playing against in League has a terribly laggy connection, and you, compared to yours at least, and you live somewhere where you have an incredible connection. And if you were on the same level, they might whoop you. Now, this enters a territory where people can just start using this to make excuses and say, well, I have bad connection. I'm actually I'm so skilled, but I just have all these things handicapping me, and so I would actually be crushing it, but the sun was in my eyes, and I had the Mad Catz controller, and we all know how that goes, right? Like, you can just make up excuses at this point, but there are viable things that make a less skilled player beat a more skilled player, or make a more skilled player absolutely tank it and do a terrible job, right? Stuff can happen. Why am I focusing on this? Because it's really easy to get focused on results in both games and in development. You can go, if I don't get to this milestone, if I don't get to this point, then I'm bad at this. If I don't get to, Diamond 1 in League, then I'm a terrible League player. If I don't get to this many reviews in this game that I've made, then I'm a terrible game developer. If I don't get to this, those are not one-to-one. It's not really how it is. With the League example, maybe you haven't played enough matches yet, right? Are you on a consistent win streak, so on and so on and so on. With the game development thing, maybe you need to work on your marketing. Maybe you're good at certain elements of it and bad at other elements of it. I just think we get obsessed with results. And the biggest con of microtransactions, well, there's a lot of them. I think you're cheating yourself out of fun sometimes if it's like a skill-based microtransaction. But I think the biggest con that gets pulled on us is this will make you better. This is not just in microtransactions. This is maybe in life in general. But this idea that you'll buy this thing and then you'll be really good. You'll buy this thing and then you'll be so good. You might be more competitive, but it doesn't make you better. It makes your results better. It doesn't make you better. And I know that I am just hyper focusing on the most nitpicky of nitpicks. But there is a huge and extremely consequential difference between this gets me better results and this makes me more skilled. And the only way to get more skilled is with some time, some focus, some feedback, some practice, some intentional improvement, some cognitive effort, paying attention, and learning is how you get more skilled. You don't get there by just hitting benchmarks. The benchmarks are meant to show you whether or not you got more skilled, and benchmarks are imperfect. They're extremely useful, but they're imperfect. And I don't like selling benchmarks. And every time that I see that, it bothers me because I like the cheat code era. I like just having cheat codes and going, oh, here, I can get to the result really quickly, but I know I'm cheating. Then it's cool. But if I'm spending money for results like that, then I go, no, I earned this because I spent my hard-earned money on it. And it's weird. I don't like it. I'm very pro cheat code, not for competitive reasons, obviously, but like, back in the day, just goofy, fun, big head mode, that kind of thing. And I'm very anti-skill-ish power purchase microtransaction. I'm for my own personal game design philosophy, that's how I feel. I do love a good cheat code, though. And I do love every once in a while just being like, okay, I can just destroy anything with one click. I'm the most powerful thing that has ever existed in this game. Yeah, cool. It's fun. Give me the option to mess around with that. But don't pretend that you're like, maybe they're not pretending it, but don't pretend that you're making me more powerful and skilled at the game. I just feel like so many things these days are like kind of appealing to this weird, like, you're going to be so good at this. It's like, come on, don't pretend that we can shortcut this. Okay, I've gotten on a weird tangent, but I appreciate you listening to it. Now, let's talk about the game development side of things, which I've already hinted at. One of the hardest things for me to accept in game development is how much time I am going to take developing all the skills that I want to develop. Like learning to do all the things that I want to learn how to do in order to really get to my goals. Not because I don't want to do that. I want to do that. It is exciting to me. It is fun. It is a joy to learn new skills. I'm working on art right now. There are moments where I'm like, this is incredible. In a week, I've made this much progress. It's so nice. It's so cool. I'm loving noticing new things, literally going about my day. I'm noticing features in people's faces more and going, oh, that's interesting because I'm paying attention to it because I'm developing a fundamental skill. The results I'm getting are still very bad, but I'm getting some real skill development. I love that process. I'm so into that, but I'm also very impatient. I'm like, I want to move forward. I want to get there. And I just have to remind myself that the joy is in getting there. And I would like to get there faster because I want to make the things that I want to make. And I want to have, it's fun to be good at something. It really is. That's the other side of this. It's just fun to be good at something. It's fun to get results quickly. It's fun to feel skilled, but more than the results, it's fun to be good at it. It's enjoyable to be skilled at something, to feel yourself flowing through it, to know that you can manipulate the world and create what you want out of it. To say, here is a pencil, and now I've created this 2D thing that is an illusion of a face, and you can look at it and see a face, even though it's just a bunch of scratches on a piece of paper. It's incredible. To write some code and then hit a button and go, oh, now it's playing, it's moving, things are happening. I made the art for that, and I can interact with it. It feels so good. And I want to have those skills. I want to just dive into it and be able to make the thing that I want to make. And I know that it's going to take me so long to develop those skills. And every once in a while, I get this thing in my head where I go, is there a shortcut? Is there something I can do? Is there some piece of gear that I can buy that's going to make this easier, quicker, make me learn faster? And look, learning faster is a thing. There are ways to learn faster. There are ways to talk to people, to get advice, to get feedback, to you can fast track it, but you're not getting rid of the effort. You're not shortcutting it. You are spending more time and cognitive effort, and you are really focusing in. And even then, it still takes a long time, but maybe not as long as you think it might be. But it's hard to accept. It's hard to look at all of that in my future and go, wow, that is a lot of learning. But at the same time, I'm excited about it. I think that's the angle to accepting it, is looking at everything that I'm going to learn and going, oh my God, I get to go through all of these journeys and learn all of these skills and just develop all this cool stuff. And I think the part that's hard to accept about it is not the process itself, is not the journey of developing these skills, of becoming a better developer, a better artist, a better musician, a better sound designer, a better story writer, all of these things. It's not that. I'm excited about all of that. It's this feeling of, will I ever get to all of it? And it's this other feeling that is hard to put my finger on, of like, it's mostly just, will I ever get to all of it? But it's, I want to be able to spend more time on it. I want to be able to spend more time on this journey, because I know that there's no path other than spending time on it. No matter what I do, no matter what attempts I make at getting there quicker, there is a certain amount of time that has to be spent. I don't know what the exact amount of time is, but I know that it's a lot. I have to spend time on it to get to where I want to be. And that's hard. That's a hard thing to accept. That's a hard thing to work on. That's a hard thing to do. And I think sometimes the best thing is to just look at it and go, I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep developing these skills. I'm going to keep moving forward. And I'm not going to look for some shortcut, because, and this may be a weird one to say, but I've met a few people who are masters of their craft. I was blessed in college to meet a few people who were some of the best players of their instruments in the world, right? I'm talking like top 10 on their instrument. And a couple times it was like, that guy is arguably the best player of this instrument in the world. Like, I got really lucky in that I met just a few people who are absolute phenomenons at what they're doing. I met Bobby McFerrin very briefly. I say met. He did some master classes, and I like waved to him outside of the building at one point between breaks, right? Like, but he was so patient and so focused on what he was doing, and clearly just invested in the process. And some of the other guys that I met that were geniuses in their craft, the other people that I met that were geniuses in their craft, that were just really, really good, they were just doing it. And they were calm, and they were attentive, and they were focused, and they were just invested in the skill. And they reached levels that I did not know were possible. I heard Stephen Mead, is an MEAD, is a famous euphonium player, which means nothing to some of you, most of you, who is a incredible virtuoso. And the thing that stuck out to me when I met this man and heard him play, and he gave a masterclass, taught one of my peers in front of the rest of us, it's the thing that you do in music. I heard him do things that I did not know you could do on the euphonium. Just improvises them. He's a classical virtuoso. He performs concertos and like plays with bands and is a soloist and all this stuff. He doesn't need to be a brilliant improviser. He doesn't need to be able to sing Happy Birthday while playing his instrument and just, excuse me, little phone call noise there, but I'm going to keep this take anyway because I'm having a good go. He doesn't need to be able to do all of these weird side skills. I think he just did it because it was fun. He's like able to play and sing at the same time and do these phenomenal things that he doesn't need for his performances, but it's cool and it's interesting and it's exciting. And I think he just loved developing skills. I think he's just doing it for the love of the game. And these people that are masters, they love it, man. You can see it. You can hear it. there's a whole feeling around it. You know that they really love what they're doing. And that doesn't happen through shortcuts. That happens through really getting in there and paying attention and enjoying what you're doing and being present for every moment of it. That's what I think, at least. That's how it seems to me. Am I certain? Do I know? Am I an expert on this? No. But that's my running theory. And that's what I'm going to go with, because even if I'm wrong, that seems like the most enjoyable way to go through the process of learning something. I have 2 questions for you today, and I think they're the questions that I've kind of explored myself throughout this episode. But here's one. Are there ways in which you try to buy skill? Because I absolutely do. I try to buy gear. I try to buy programs. I try to buy things that are going to make me learn quicker. That's one of my tricks, right? I'm like, oh, maybe I can learn through this. And I'm always like just trying to find a more fun way to learn too. But sometimes I trick myself with it and end up just wasting some time. But are there ways that you're trying to buy skill? I try to buy the best quality gear, and it's like, that's not actually it. That's not how it works. Then I fool myself into thinking that it's necessary in order to develop my skills. So I don't know. Maybe you do this too. My other question for you is, what skills are you having the most fun working on? What skills do you look forward to developing? Right? What are the ones that make you go, oh yeah, dude, this is nice. This is a good process. And are there ones that you think are going to be that way, but just aren't there yet? Because that's a thing, right? It's like, at some point I'm going to love learning this skill, just not quite yet. For me right now, drawing is kind of all of those things. I'm working towards it because I think I'm going to absolutely love it eventually. Right now I'm still kind of like, oh God, this is intimidating. But we're going to keep trying it. That is, you know what? That's everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you listening to my passionate, somewhat education adjacent rant. Whenever it gets closer to my music education background, I can really go off on one and get stuck in some details. So thank you for joining me here. Thank you for listening. Feel free to jump in on the Discord or email me at anxiousbuddhagames@gmail.com. That's everything I've got for you. Thanks again. Until next week, get out there, make some stuff, and have fun with it. Bye-bye. Have a good one.